CBS presents this program in color.
From Television City in Hollywood,
The Red Skelton Hour. We're proud to present an annual event we call the Skelton Scrapbook. Our best every year is bound to reappear inside the Skelton Scrapbook.
When you've enjoyed our stuff, you've been kind enough to write.
So we relied on you for the show we'll do tonight. Our guest star, John Wayne. David Rose and his orchestra. The Alan Copeland Singers. The Tom Hanson Dancers. And here he is, Red Skelton.
Don't be alarmed, folks. I'm not Red Skelton. I'd like to be Red, but my mother named me John Wayne. Forgive me if I appear a little uncomfortable in these tails, as the only tails that I'm used to wag and brush off flies. But it is a real honor for me to be here tonight as your host on this special program, the second edition of the Red Skelton Scrapbook. As you know, tonight Red is going to redo some of the sketches and pantomimes that you have requested. So now, before he does, let's bring him out here. Ladies and gentlemen, one of America's clowns and one of my very dearest friends, Red Skelton. Well, howdy, Red.
Well, I'm glad you spoke. I didn't recognize you without a horse under you. Wasn't that sweet of him to have his legs straightened just for this show?
Yeah, but first thing in the morning, I'm having them bent back again.
Ah.
Otherwise, I couldn't get into my other pants.
You're not kidding. You know, you walk by his clothesline and see 10 pair of pants hanging there. It looks like you're going through a tunnel.
Well, it's a good thing I am bow-legged. Before I kept hitting my head on the ceiling.
You know, when he was born, he was very big. He weighed 6 pounds, 9 ounces, and he was 6'2". And his diapers were 44 long.
Oh, Red, quit exaggerating. 44 long. They're only 44 regular. Are we going on with this?
Yeah. I understand it. He was so big that the stork that delivered you got a hernia.
Well, excuse me, Red.
Where you going?
Well, I have to pay an installment on this suit. I'm renting it by the hour. Meanwhile, why don't you start your show?
Okay. Watch it there. Watch it. He never learned to walk without spurs. He's really something. Did you hear about the 3 storks we're talking? One of them says, "Did you hear about John Wayne?" And the other one says, "Yeah, that Cary Grant stuff's catching on." The third one says, "What I'm nervous about is flying over those senior citizen villages. They put up anti-aircraft guns." You know, talking about hospitals, just about 4 years ago, right tonight, I was in the hospital. I had a little operation, you know, nothing trivial. 7 doctors removed my wallet. You want to know something? I reached one decision. You hang around a hospital long enough, they'll drive you nuts. You know, with me, it's not a drive, it's a short putt to begin with. But the nurses, they mean well, bless their little hearts, but they drive you batty. You know, wake up, wake up, wake up. Time for your sleeping pills. I had this one nurse that took a liking to me. She'd come in and fluff up my pillow, then she'd come in, put another pillow and fluff it up, and a few minutes later come back with another pillow. And at the end of the day, I was standing up in bed. And my morning nurse, I'll never forget her. There was something about her. I don't know what it was. I know what it was. I just don't like to think about it. She was, I never saw such a crowd of people in one person in all my life. She came in this one morning and she's wearing a dyed mink coat and it died a horrible death. She would walk in and she had a little medal. It used to say, it said Angel of Mercy. I used to look up at that thing and think to myself, oh boy, this angel had wings. She looked like a Boeing 707. She'd walk in, she'd say, well, how are we today? Did we have a good night's sleep? Did we have our breakfast? Shall we have our bath? Oh, we almost fainted on that one. The way they give you a bath in a hospital, isn't that horrible? Huh? This nurse gave me a bath in bed, the idiot, and I fell out of the pan. And one night I got real cold through the night, and I got up and I put on a big Angora sweater, you know, those big Angora sweaters, and one of those little gowns that they give you the time. They ain't made for tall people, boy. You ever notice people around hotels, hospitals, they walk around and say, hi. Hi. For a long time, I thought everybody was weak. Huh? You wave like this, you're dead, boy. Anyhow, I put on this air conditioner, see? And this big Angora sweater. Now, I get back into bed and I go to sleep. Now, when I wake up, some idiot's shaving my sweater. And the old doc, I wasn't too sure about him either. He'd walk in, he'd say, oh, it's 3 o'clock. I wonder what time it is. He'd take his stethoscope, he'd say, now cough, cough again. Now cough again. I cough real hard. Tell me how long you had this cough. But this old doc saved my life, you know. Last summer I had an asthmatic attack, and I sent for him, and he didn't come. And around hospitals, the silly conversations that you hear going on at night. Like I heard these two doctors talking. One of them says, why, this is the strangest case I've ever seen. It's all head and no body. And the other one says, yeah, what are we going to do about it? The other guy says, we send this beer back the first thing in the morning.
When you talk about the world's pantomime artists, you've got to include Red Skelton. A few years ago, he set aside a portion of his program each week for a pantomime sketch which we call The Silent Spot. And here is one of our favorites, The Elopement. Shakespeare said brevity is the soul of wit. Over the years, we have done a great number of very short sketches, or as they are called in vaudeville, the quick blackout. Here are some that you like best on the program.
I say, Aubrey, my elephant gun. You idiot! I said elephant gun! Good night, Chet. Well, Joe, it's 2:45. There's nobody in here but you and me. Give me one from a baby, will you? Well, here's to you. That I can never understand. They say here's to you, and then they drink it themselves. You cut that, didn't you? Now, give me one for the road. One for the road. No, one for the road. One for the road. The road. No, the long, long road. The long, long, long. That's enough, I'm driving. Well, one for the road.
Where do you live?
Upstairs.
Welcome home, darling.
Sure you've got a headache.
It's got to work. For 30 long years, day and night, I've slaved over this invention. It's got to work.
Thomas Edison, will you stop fooling around with that silly invention and come to bed?
In a moment, Mary, in a moment. I'm working on this invention. It's got to work. The world is waiting for it. It works. It works. It works. It works. It works. Hello? So you see, by taking the relative numeral and transposing the first fraction into the fourth power, you arrive at the correct answer, 3.563 over y.
Amazing. Amazing. I see, Doctor. Thank you very much. What a brain. What a brain. Well, I'd better be going. By the way, do you have the time?
Oh, certainly, certainly. The big hand's on 6 and the little hand's on... Well, that's the direction some idiot wrote on the bottle, every 2 hours in water.
Red Skelton proudly presents lovely ballerina Roberta Lubell in The Spectre de la Rose. This beautiful ballet by Fokine tells the poetic story of the unrequited love of a beautiful young maiden, returning alone from a ball with only a rose to remind her of the laughing spirit of her young lover. She sleeps, and he comes to her in a dream. Ecstatically, they dance together until his dreamlike kiss awakens her to disillusion, and his gay image leaps to eternity through the window of her boudoir. The Specter of the Rose. When Red first started out in show business, one of his earliest routines became one of his most famous. I'm sure you'll all want to see it again. It's called Dunking Donuts.
You know, I was over to our cafeteria here at the studio. It's on wheels. It's a big wagon. It sets out. No, but I said to the waitress today, I said, what have you got special? She says, vegetable soup. I said, what's vegetable soup? She said, you ever eat hash? I said, yeah. She says, it's the same thing, only it's looser. I said, what kind of pie is this, apple or peach? She says, what does it taste like? I says, it tastes like glue. She says, that's apple. The peach tastes like putty. While I was out there, I was noticing several of the people sitting around dunking donuts. But I've reached the decision that a lot of people do not know the proper way to dunk. So I'd like to try to show tonight the way different people dunk donuts and the way to dunk properly. Now, to start off with, you need a napkin. So you... There's going to be trouble if you find that sheet going. Now, if you have a napkin, it's big enough that you don't get anything on you. Now, you should always wear a hat when go dunking. Never go dunking without a hat. Now, the next thing you do is find the temperature of your coffee. Coffee looks like something that rang out of a mop. The coffee should be at a certain temperature. Wow! How sweet it is. Coffee should be at a certain temperature when used for dunking. If it's too hot, the donut will become soggy before you can eat it. So you use the index finger as a thermometer. Now, that's too hot. But how do we cool it? It's bad manners to blow into a cup. So you pour it into the saucer. Now, you still can't blow, because if you don't use your judgment on, you blow too hard, the fella sitting across the table from you will get it right in the put. So you take the hat and you fan it like that. Now, we have different types of people and the way they dunk. First, we have the cross-eyed man. He's allowed 2 cups of coffee. Now, while everyone else is dunking, he sits around and dunks this way. Next we have, the last one was made out of glue. Next we have the society dunkers, the debutantes. You know what a debutante is? That's an old maid who overdid it. Now they use a little more finesse with a knife and fork, and they dunk this way. Oh. Pardon me while I rinse that last baby. That coffee, I tell you, I like weak coffee, but that stuff is helpless. You know, I'm the only comedian in television that uses real coffee. Next we have the sneakers. Now, a sneaker is the lowest type of all dunkers. They sit around with a cup of saucer like this when no one's looking. Don't get me laughing. You'll never get out of here. They sit around with a cup of saucer like this when no one's looking. They dunk. Then when someone is looking, the dirty sneaks, they dunk this way. Oh, my, look what I've done. Now we come to the art of dunking. Notice how I hold the little fellow. With the index finger and the thumb. The pinky should always be out. That's so in case you slip, you won't go to your elbow. If you knew how many times we rehearsed this today. Well, we have after the night, I'll never look another one of these. I don't know, they get bigger every day. Bigger and heavier. That thing weighs a ton. Either I hit somebody or a lady got a seat on the Sunset bus.
Hey, Red, come here. I've just got to tell you, that's one of the funniest skits I've ever seen.
Ah, thanks a lot, Duke. But you want to know something? I give up gladly every laugh that I've ever gotten just to be a cowboy star like you.
You mean you'd want to be a cowboy star?
Sure.
Oh, that's like me wanting to be Granny Goose.
No, why not? I'm pretty fast on the draw, and I can ride a horse, and all last summer I spent my vacation picking up cigarette butts up in the Marlboro country.
It takes a lot more than shooting and riding to be a cowboy star, Red. You've also got to know how to handle the girls and the love scenes in the tradition of the Old West.
Well, don't worry about that, buddy. You're looking at a combination of Hopalong Cassidy and old Richard Burton.
Well, then maybe I'll just give you a chance to prove it. Now, suppose you were doing a Western and you met one of these pretty dance hall girls.
Yeah. Want me to show how it'd go, huh?
Okay.
What do you want
your
first?
love scene.
You want Hopalong or Richard first?
Oh, no, that's all wrong, Red. Cowboys are polite and very bashful. Here, watch me. Hello, my pretty little bird.
Pretty little bird. Is that Western talk?
That's good enough for Lyndon. It's good enough for me. Well, what I was asking, lady, was that if I could, what I'm trying to say is,
What is this, a love scene or a filibuster?
would you go out on a date with me? And after we come home from the date, would you let me hold your hand and shake it?
Well, sir, he sure works fast.
Oh, lady, do you want me to kiss you? Sorry, lady, I gotta feed the cows. There. That is a love scene in the style of the Old West.
Well, that's pretty good. I'll try it now with a broken rib. That's the way they did it in the Old West, huh? Now I can see why the population was much larger in the Old East. All right, I'll show you how.
Come on, try it again.
All right. Howdy there.
Bashful now.
Bashful now. Hi there, pretty little bird.
Is that Western talk?
If it's good enough for his friend, it's good enough for me.
You see, Red, all you're doing is getting your face slapped a lot.
Yeah, but I'm getting an awful lot of good kissing, too.
Remember the famous movie about an alcoholic called The Lost Weekend? Half the people who saw it quit drinking, and the other half quit going to the movies. One of Red's best-known characters, Willie Lump Lump, had a drinking problem, and in this now classic sketch, you'll see how Willie's wife cured him. It's called Topsy-Turvy.
Okay, Mrs. Lump Lump. I got the room all changed around just the way you wanted it. But it's sure going to cost you a pretty penny.
Mr. Swanson, I don't care if I have to pay you for the rest of my life. Believe me, it is worth every cent to me. That Willie Lump Lump has been gone for 5 days now, staggering around from bar to bar. Well, he is going to learn his lesson. Just wait until he wakes up.
Well, aren't you afraid to put him in that room? Might frighten him to death.
Well, maybe. But I've warned him too many times before. I have said, Willie, one of these days you're going to come in here so high you won't be able to get down. Well, this is it.
Well, good luck. I sure hope it works.
Thanks, Mr. Swanson. I'll send you a check in the morning.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How did I get up here? Oh, now, come on. Don't tell me that Lyndon has repealed the law of gravity. I need a drink. That's what I need. I need a drink. Hey, Holman, you got anything Empty, empty. Seymour's been here. I gotta get down from here. That's what I gotta do. Better lower myself down easy or I'm gonna get hurt. There we are. There we are. How does this work anyhow? Gotta try sometime. Now, this room just don't look right to me. It just don't look right. I've seen a lot of rooms in my day, but this just don't look right to me. As a matter of fact, I can hardly see it. Well, I can't lay up on this wall all day. I gotta get out of here. That's what I gotta do.
Yes, Willie, what is it?
Oh, boy, never again. Never again. I'll never drink any more. I'll never drink any less, but I'll never drink any more. I made it. Now I'm on the floor. I'm afraid to stand up. Oh, well, that's right. I need some coffee. That's what I need. I need some coffee. And what I mean, coffee.
All right, Willie. I guess you can come down now. You've learned your lesson. It was all a gag.
Oh, shut up. When you sober up, come down and have your breakfast.
Before we close the scrapbook tonight, I'd like to turn you back to the one and only Red Skelton. All yours, Red.
Now, wait just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to be serious for just a moment. Many years ago, when I first started out in pictures, I was walking across the back lot at the studio, and there was a tall, lanky fella. Lanky fella. A cowboy who was already a big star, and he came up to me and he said, "Red, I just saw your screen test, and I howled. You stick with it and work real hard, and someday you're going to make it." Well, I'll never forget his kindness. That cowboy is really a fine man, and his name, well, you guessed it, Joe McCrae.
Well, thanks for keeping me here to listen to that story, Red. Brought a tear to my eye.
Oh, I figured it would, yeah.
You know, I got the same kind of encouragement when I started in pictures.
You mean Joe McCrae talked to you, too?
No, Mr. Ed.
No, all kidding aside, one of the nicest things that's ever happened to me in my life is to be able to count on this wonderful man as one of my closest and dearest friends. Thanks a lot, Duke.
It's my pleasure, and good night, Red.
Thank you.
Oh, did you notice I didn't trip?
Yeah. How about that? He put on his propellers. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Mr. John Wayne, our sponsors and staff, we sincerely hope that our entertainment and our products have brought happiness into your homes. So until next week, we'll say goodbye for now, and may God bless. Good night.
Our times run away, but on another day we'll do a Skelton Scrapbook. Next week on our show, there may be things to go inside the Skelton Scrapbook.
Mrs. Art Gilmore speaking.